Okay. So our topic is tefillah, and what we want to do is we want to understand. Hey, hi on. There you go. We want to understand. We want to understand the Amidah, right? Very important prayer. Does everybody have a pen?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has? Yeah. Ellen, you have a pencil? Okay, beautiful. So what I want to do is I want to go through each of the berachot of the Amidah, and I want to learn them together. Now, what we did was we translated them. We gave it the English translation, right? And you're going to tell me when we learn it together, you're going to say, well, that's not what the English translation says. And sometimes it won't be. Sometimes it won't be what the English translation says, but that's okay. Because we're going to go with the interpretation more than the translation as a tool, a building block. As we've been saying, prayer is a building block. It's a massively powerful tool. So when we start the Amidah, right? We say, Hashem sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tilatecha. What does that mean? So what the translation means is, open my lips and my mouth will speak your praises. But what the interpretation is, and this is what I'd like you to write down and own, is give me the words, sifatai from safa. We're gonna switch the shin and the sin, or the sin and the samech, and give me the safa. Give me the words to find so that I can express all that I want to express. Hashem sifatai tiftach. Give me the words, and then fi yagid tilatecha, and then my mouth will say your praises. But you have to give me the words first. Help me find the words. Now, we know al pi halacha that the silent prayer, the Amidah, is a very personal, private, confidential, and beautiful experience. It should take as long as it needs to take. And it should be a platform for expressing needs, dreams, hopes, wishes for ourselves and our children, and so on. So when we say Hashem sifatai tiftach, what we're doing is we're finding the words to express what we want. And the halacha is that we should pause after that sentence and make sure that we're gathered in this private space of prayer without any distraction and anything else. So we say Hashem sifatai tiftach, pi yagid tilatecha. We start to zone in. Oh, you know what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want to zone in today regarding this child, or regarding that family situation, or regarding this person's health, or regarding these 6 things. But give me the language, give me the words. I'm going to pause after this sentence. Take as long as you want, in fact. But I don't want to step into this thing cold. I don't want to step in unprepared, because I have this fabulous portal where I can ask, plead, cry, make demands, whatever it might be. Hey, Rob. How are you?
That's the part when you're supposed to ask.
No, we're not asking yet. Excellent. We're not asking yet. Yeah, wait. We're going to talk about all that. Yeah. I think you got to hit that thing. Yeah, hit that thing on the bottom. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, so very good. So what we're doing, Rob, we're going to go into the Amidah, the silent prayer, and we're going to understand each paragraph. Okay, now I'm going to go through your points in a minute, we're in, but we don't have to only ask on Shema Kolin. We could ask at mostly all the points, but we're going to discuss how to do that. But the point is, I say the first sentence, God, give me. Wow. This is a great day. I'm so happy to see you. Wow. Fantastic. My Aunt Sandy. I have to say, because my wife is here, that she's the best person on the planet. So my Aunt Sandy's the second. My wife wasn't here, I tell you the truth. Unreal. Happy to see you. So, Hashem Sifatai Tiftach, God, give me the language, give me the terms to express what I want to express. I say that sentence and then I stop. And I gather my thoughts. Okay, again, like we started to say, today I want to speak about this grandchild. I want to speak about this child. I want to speak about this financial challenge. I want to speak about whatever I want to speak about, the situation in Israel, whatever it might be. But I take this, I say this sentence, give me the language, give me the words, give me the concepts, pause, gather thoughts, and then go in. Okay, this is a very Kabbalistic phrase, and it should be used. And the way to use it is to pause, gather, and move. Okay. Now what we do is we're reminding ourselves who we are. We're reminding ourselves who we are. And who are we? We're the children of giants. But it's important to remember what about them makes us something special. What about them makes us something special? So, Elokei Abraham, what was Abraham noted for? It was noted for chesed, right? Good. What does chesed mean? We learned this together a long time ago. I don't know if some of you would remember. But what does chesed mean? Chesed doesn't mean to help the other person, right? It means that also. But when we say, I'm the child of Abraham, and you're the God of Abraham, what I'm saying is like this. Abraham stands for chesed, right? What does chesed mean? Chesed means that everything and everybody is all interconnected. This is very, very important. Chesed doesn't mean to do something nice for somebody. It does ultimately. But what it means is when I say, Olam Hesed Yibaneh, or something like that, that the world is created with chesed, or the world is driven by chesed, what I mean to say is like this. Chesed means everything in creation is connected to everything else. Which means, for example, Natalie, you may not know this person. They live on the other side of the planet. You may never meet them in person, but you have a connection to them. That's chesed, right? I have a relationship to the climate. I have a relationship to everything and everybody. Now, because we recognize that chesed means a mosaic of everything interconnected, we then realize that if everything is interconnected, it can only be interconnected under one God. Because if there were many gods, then these things would not be connected. So once I establish that everything is connected, I establish that there's one God, which is a very big deal. And that's what Abraham did. Abraham established everything is absolutely interconnected. It took him decades to discover that. And then once he discovered that, he said, well, if everything is connected, there can't be a God of the oceans. Hi, honey. There can't be a God of the oceans here, though. That's our cookie girl. There can't be a God of the oceans and a God of fertility and a God of this and a God of that. So how does Abraham Avinu discover that there's one God? By first discovering that everything is connected. Now, so watch me here. If everything is connected over here, right? My step up is there's one God and only one God. And what's my step down? Just said it to you, Natalie. What's my step down? Huh? What do you mean everything? Come on. If everything is connected, I step up to say, well, if everything is connected, there was one creator. Check. If everything is connected, hey, John. Great. If everything is connected, I step down to say, I have a responsibility to everybody. Therefore, that's where we get chesed from. Let's do this again. This is very, very important. Ellen, you with me? Okay, good. When I say the God of Abraham, and I call Abraham the champion of chesed, What I'm saying is that Abraham, in his search to understand life and the world, discovered that there's nothing separate. Everything is connected to everything else. Now, that was a massive discovery because until his time and after that, people said, no, not everything is connected. The sea, the oceans, they operate separate than the deserts. And the gods of good, so to speak, and the gods of bad are separate. And the nights have a god, and the days have a god, and on and on and on and on. But Abraham did say, wait a second, I'm looking at the world. I don't see any broken pieces. I see an incredible symphony, an incredible harmony with everything together. The birds and the bees and the this and that. There's a harmony. There's a connection. Everything responds one to the other. When he discovers that, he says, wait a second, you're all wrong. Daddy, you have a shop filled of idols. They're all worthless. They mean nothing. Break them all, so to speak, right? So that's his great discovery. And when he discovers that, and he stands as a champion to the world, that there's only one creator who's involved with the world, then the step down is, well, if everything is connected, I have a connection to it. And that's why if someone is suffering, a Jewish person is suffering, the other end of the planet, I feel it. And I'm responsible to help mitigate that suffering if I can. In fact, if any human being is suffering anywhere on the planet, I have a responsibility to that as well because we're absolutely unequivocally connected to everybody. That's what Abraham's championed. Cool? You with me, Andy? If you're not with me, I'm not moving. Yeah, good? All right, beautiful. Any questions on this point? Good? We're all there. Yeah, good. What was, yeah.
Question. Where did the concept of the disconnected come from before this?
Is much more logical. Not much more logical. Sorry, it's not more logical. It's much more easy to fathom. If we say, one thing, what does the whale have to do with the tiger? They're completely different. They'll never meet. They'll never meet. What do you have to do with the Chinaman? Nothing. So you know what? There must be a god of whales and sea animals, and there must be a god of jungle animals. And guess what? You know what? There must be a god of Asians, because you will probably never meet them. Guess what? You know what? They look totally different than you. They don't speak the same language. They don't have the same sensibilities. It's much more natural to say that it's different gods, right?
Also, it's easier to handle that way.
Of course it is. And I can pick and choose. Yeah? Cool. So when we say that, we're reaffirming, the first and foremost, we're reaffirming that there's one God and that we're all connected and that we are part of that system. So when we acknowledge in the first paragraph of the Amidah, we acknowledge Avraham Avinu and our relationship to him. We acknowledge what he championed in the world, and we say we're on board. We're with it. It applies to us as well. Great. Next. What did Yitzchak stand for? Huh? No. Yitzchak was, what do we call, huh? Laughter? That, okay. Yeah, yes, but give me something else. What do we call Yitzchak? What did he epitomize? Yitzchak epitomized Gevurah. What is Gevurah? Restraint. Gevurah is not strength. Koach is strength. Gevurah is restraint. So, Patch Adams. Anybody see the movie? Great movie, right? You remember, Joan, what happens in the movie? The not good thing that happens? So the doctor, Robin Williams, right? He is a big Baal Chesed, is a big Chesed guy, and he wants to save everybody. So there's a crazy, violent person who he brings into his office to try and help him. And the person kills the nurse, his wife. So what do we learn from that? That an unintelligent Chesed, feeling a sense of responsibility for everybody on the planet without applying some smarts to it, is destructive. So we have Abraham who says, love everybody, connect with everybody. That's Abraham, right? Great. Hi, how are you? Oh, wow, this is a great day. My aunt and my cousin. Good to see you. Um, Excellent, excellent. So let's build on that. So now it goes like this. What does Yitzhak come and do? Yitzhak constricts things. He says, charity begins at home. He says, I can't help everybody. Now, because of Yitzhak's givurah, restraint, because of that, the revolution of Abraham survives. Because if it was Avraham Avinu alone saying, love everybody, care for everybody, give yourself to everybody, it would have collapsed because it's not real. And the truth of the matter is, the Avdil, it was epitomized in this movie. A lot of Robin Williams movies had these phenomenal messages, phenomenal, mind-boggling. He had a sense somehow of the greater world that was, I don't know what his neshama was or anything, but remarkable thing. So in this case, what he hits on is without Yitzhak and Givurah and restraint and control, Abraham falls away. Abraham falls apart. How are you? Wow. Nice to see you. Take a copy. Yeah. Great to see you. How you been? Okay, good. Okay. So now when I mention the name of Yitzhak, I remind myself that chesed has boundaries, which means, for example, let's say, to Joni's point, chesed starts at home. So let's say I'm giving more time to strangers' children than my own. It's wrong. I'll tell you a quick story. Many years ago, I walked into the SBH office on a weekday night, and I saw a bunch of young guys who I knew had young kids, first, second grade kids, right? I said, what are you guys doing here? What are you doing here? They said, oh, we're here to do chesed. I said, how old are your children? Third grader, first grader. First grader, second grader. I looked down there. I said, okay, I'm closing the lights. Everybody leave the office. What are you talking about? I said, you should be home doing homework with your children. And when you finish doing their homework with them and you put them to bed, then come to the office. But we were closing the office from 7 to 8:30 on weeknights. Or at least, my kids were older, at least to people like you, your age, leave the office. Because that's misplaced chesed. And why do people run to the SBH office, for example, on a Tuesday night, rather than being with their children? Because it's much easier. It's much easier to take care of something else or somebody else. So this is Yitzhak's great contribution to the world and to us. He said that chesed isn't boundaryless. Chesed is intelligent. For example, let's say someone is helping someone. Many, I think all of you in this room are involved in helping other people. When do you okay, right, okay. So so we have a concept of lo alecha hamnacha ligmor, someone who doesn't have to take something to the final place, because sometimes there might be too much damage, there might be too much pain. So what do we hold? What do we hold? Example, somebody reaches out, Robin, somebody reaches out to you and says, I need your help with something. I know that you can handle this, and please come and help me, right? Good. You give, and you move the needle minimally, right? Right? Happens sometimes, right? Okay. So the halacha is that if you're giving, and you're not moving the needle much, you take a step back and you think about replacing yourself with someone better than you. So, because I know sometimes I'm involved with a family or something, I know I can't get them there. I cannot get them there. So should I stay with them? No. On the other hand, I can't walk away completely. On the other hand, there might be times when my commitment to this other person is taking me away, like we said in the story of SBH, from my own children. And in that case, I have to stop. And by the way, that's the biggest fooler. I'll tell you a quick story. One person called me up that they were going through a difficult time in their marriage, and so I met with them, and it was an interesting situation. This guy is a big Baal Chesed, big Baal Chesed, massive guy in the whole Al Chesed world in the community. The only problem was put everybody else before his wife. No, literally, I'm not exaggerating. He put everybody else before his wife. So they came to me and they said that somebody spoke to them, a psychologist, whatever, and said that he has to abstain from SBH for a couple of months. I said, unacceptable. I said, you have to abstain from SBH for the next several years. He told me, are you crazy? And I said, no. I said, you have to rebuild your relationship with your forever partner. I said, God and people take care of everybody else. But to the extent that you hurt her, to the point that you hurt her over and over and again by being absent because you were doing something cheaper, it's much easier to give your love to a stranger than it is to the people closest to you. So all this is built into Yitzchak. We describe Yitzchak as the champion of Gevurah, which is restraint. And we say, Abraham is the champion of Chesed. Yitzchak is the champion of controlling it and intelligently approaching it. Guess what, God? Hi, it's Ricky. I'm here. And I'm reminding you, and more important, I'm reminding me that I'm from this lineage. Now, God knows I'm from the lineage. So what's the point, Bobby? What's the point of me saying this? Of me saying it? What would you say the point is? To remind myself, right? As we said, when we're talking about it in an introductory form, the primary beneficiary of prayer is not God, it's me. I'm using prayer to clear my mind, to set my priorities, to reach, to dream, to cry, to scream, to demand. That's the point, right? So when I say this, I'm reminding myself, yes, I believe that everything in the world is interconnected, as Abraham said. I believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one God, is above it. I believe that I have a responsibility to a broad world because I'm a child of Abraham. I'm his son. But I also believe that I'm going to work hard at my chesed to keep it intelligent. I'm going to work hard at my chesed. Wow. Hi, Flora. Unreal. Unreal. Oh, today is a great day. Okay. What about Yaakov? What's Yaakov's story? Yaakov is the patriarch who we know the most about. So when I claim for men 3 times a day, for women once or twice a day, that I am the child of Yaakov, he's my daddy. I'm like him. What am I doing, Felicia? And what we're doing is we're going into the Amidah in depth, okay, so that we could really use it in a powerful way. So I don't have more handouts, but I'll bring more next time. I just set up a little thing so you can make notes. Okay. Okay. Oh, you'll share? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So talk to me. What is Yaakov? Yaakov is the one that we say the most about, right? Why, Robin? Why? Why in the Chumash do we say the most about Yaakov? Huh?
12 tribes.
What?
They said the 12 tribes.
12 tribes, excellent. But he refine excellent. How did he refine himself? What difficult did he go through? Excellent. What Yaakov does, and that's why we're called the children of Yaakov, Bnei Israel. We're not called Bnei Abraham. Shouldn't we be called Bnei Abraham? Isn't that where it started? We're not called Bnei Abraham. And we're not called Bnei Yitzchak either. We're called the new name that Yaakov got, which is Israel. We're called his children. And effectively, on a practical level, we're mostly his children. So we call ourselves Bnei Yisrael. And why do we do that? Because to Felicia's point, what does Yaakov start out as? How does he start? He's what? How does he describe? Ish tam yoshev ohalim. He says, listen, I don't want anything to do with the practical world. I have my Torah. I have my yeshiva of Shem ve'Eved, the son and grandson of Noach. I'm going to go there and I'm going to park myself there. And that's the greatest world you could have. Why would we want anything different? And then, cutting through the story, we'll go back. When he meets Rachel, it's a grand slam because Rachel was the copy-paste of him. He says, if I can team up with Rachel, someone who cares almost nothing about this world and really only about the spiritual world, and that's me as well, the two of us together, we're going to break out of this practical world and we're going to fly. What does Lavan, as a messenger of God, say? We don't do that in these parts. You got to marry Leah first. Did he trick him, not trick him? That's just a surface story. He was God's messenger to say, Yaakov, listen to me. I told you 10 times already, and I'm going to tell you another 50 times. The way to sanctify God's name, the way to build a great life, is to do the spiritual thing in this physical place. So, Yaakov is the paradigm of emet, of truth, which means living a spiritual / physical life, living them both together. Yeah, we're not monks, we're not ascetics, we don't run to the hills and worship God. We worship God right here, in a very practical world, going to the supermarket and playing racquetball and all these things. They're not a negation of God. They're an absolute way to bring God into everything and to be with God in everything. And that's what the point is. And that's Yaakov. So when we mention Yaakov's name and we remind ourselves that we're a child of him, we're reminding ourselves that the spiritual side is clearly the most important. But the purpose of us being here in a practical world is to infuse spiritual into the practical. What does that mean? I learned Torah in a physical building, not on some mountain checked out from the world. I go to work. Yes, I go to work. I earn a living. I impact other people. I'm responsible, like we said, going back up to Abraham. I'm responsible for other people. I build buildings. I design bridges. I write plays, right? I do that kind of thing, right? I do that kind of stuff, right? And in all of those things, I can sanctify God's name and build myself and my neshama. That's how it works. So let's take a step back. Someone steps up to when you pray, you shouldn't pray in front of a window, should not pray in front of a window, should not pray in front of a very multicolored wall. You should pray in place of something that's not going to be distracting. If I'm praying looking outside the window, there's a very good possibility that something is going to catch my eye. And that's going to pull me out of this absolutely unique and beautiful zone of me and God only. If I'm praying in front of a wall that has a splash of very, very bright colors, the same thing might happen. It might call me out of where I am. So the best thing to do is to pray in front of a solid wall. I get to that.
Somebody's praying in this room. There's all distractions.
I know they're wrong, and it's not so easy. My seat is over there. My seat is over there at the end of that row, in the front row.
Right.
And what they did is they put dedication signs on that wall. You see it? You see this wall? So they put a bunch of dedication signs on the wall, which are frankly, when I'm saying the Amidah, very distracting. And my Amidah takes a very long time. So what do? I squeeze my face in between the signs and the window.
But you said don't look at the window.
No, I squeeze it in between. So I'm looking at that little piece of solid wood wall. And if I'm having a hard time, because I just can't get my head there, I'll pull down the shade and then I have a little more wiggle room. But the minute I'm looking out the window, there's no doubt I'm going to be distracted. There's movement, there's sunlight, there's cars, there's people. Of course, I'm going to get distracted. When I say the Amidah, I want to check out and close the door. I'm in my own zone, and I don't even know if the building was picked up and moved. That's my goal. Yeah.
I don't have one spot in my house that I would say doesn't have a window or whatever.
You do. You do. Find a white wall.
I alienate myself, but. no.
Find a white wall. There is one. Yeah. Bobby, what you said? Well, listen, if you're outside, okay. If you're outside to look up to the sky. I never heard that. That could be an opinion that says that.
Saying you're praying in a shul, this is all distracting.
You have to be very careful with that. And that's why I started putting my talit over my head. Because the place is flying, the room is flying. I got to check out. I pull the thing over my head. I get into my little corner and I just check out. And the only thing that quickens my Amidah is the Kohanim that they say when they're repeating the Amidah, because that's biblical and I'm a Kohen and I have to say it. Otherwise, I would keep going for another 20 minutes, because I'm in my own zone. I'm talking to myself and I'm talking to God. And I don't want to honestly be anywhere else. That's the idea. Good? Yeah. 100%. Great point. 100% should be in the same spot every day. 100%. So what I want to do, let's recap quickly so far. What I want to do is, Hashem Sifatai Tiftach. God, help me organize my thoughts so my mouth can sing your praises. But after I say that, again, our Kabbalistic rabbis are very, very makpid, very strong on this point. I stop and I organize my thoughts. What do I need help with today? What do I need insight? Because hopefully you walk away from the Amidah and you have no ideas and you have answers. How am I getting the answers? I'm getting the answers by breaking through my limited brain and breaking into another place. And prayer is what does that. Struggling with a child situation. Got to find an answer. How am I going to find an answer? I got to get out of my zone. I got to tap other skills that I have. And this is the way to do it. The Amidah is what the rabbis designed to do it. And I can do it. As we go through the Amidah together, which God willing will do over the next handful of weeks, the rabbis were brilliant in targeting every single area of need that somebody could have. Right? Every area of need. Fantastic. But I have to know what I'm saying and use it. So I say Hashem Sifatai Tiftach Yagid Tilatecha, and then I pause, gather my thoughts. Ricky, this is what I want to think about today. Oh, and yes, God, I'm going to talk to you about it at the same time. But I'm primarily talking to me, pausing, thinking, reflecting, crying, right? We learned it with Hannah last week, right? How did she break through with real tears and tearful words, right? That's how she broke through, all right? And she also made real commitments, which the Amidah allows you to do. Now, think of Ricky 1 and Ricky 2, right? Ricky 1, I said the preps, the Baruch Shema, the tefillot we say as a ramp up. Said the Shema, right? Which gives me in the zone of being in love with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now I'm really pumped and I'm ready I'm ready to check out in front of a benign wall, with no movement. If I have to put something over your head, do it. No noise, no anything. And then I ask God and I speak to myself and say, I want to organize my thoughts because I'm in a breakthrough place and I can change the world. And that's what I want to do. I say that, I pause, I gather my thoughts. You know what, God? I'm going to say a lot of things, but these are the 4, 5, 6 things that I'm going to really focus on over the next X number of minutes. Yeah. And then I call out my lineage and my aristocracy. And when I call out my aristocracy and saying that I'm a grandchild of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, I'm also reminding myself there's one God. The world is absolutely interconnected. I am responsible to everybody. You're responsible, yes, but within reason. Charity starts at home. Charity has to be intelligent. For example, I'm not going to do that. Leave it for another one. And then Yaakov, his name, he's given an additional name, not a name change. At a senior point in his life, he's given an additional name of Yisrael, based on the angel who tells him, Kisarita im Elokim ba'adam batuchal. You wrestled with God and man, and you came out great. So that's who we are. And when we mention Yaakov, we're reminding ourselves that we're going to break through, we're going to be champions in a practical world. Good. Any questions? Good. Okay, so what would you say is the benefit of being in the same place every time, if possible? Lorraine, what would you say?
Like you said, focus, not
Focus,
distracted.
yeah. Mhm.
Like your spot will, like connecting.
Sometimes the people, like, I don't, when they have speakers around, I don't like to pray when she's there,
Right.
like, there. So I just always kind of, most of the time I'm on the same spot, but I think I like.
Okay, if somebody's going to be distracting, no, you're right. If somebody's going to be
I'm in the same spot
distracting,
every day, but
huh?
things go on around me.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm in the same spot every day,
Okay.
but
Well, then, if it's distracting, then move.
no, I move myself from it,
Yeah.
but there is like a high window like that.
No,
and-
high window is not the thing. High window is not a thing, but a low window is.
Is it more like your reflection and stuff?
If the window is reflecting, might it be considered like a mirror? The rabbis go back and forth on that. Not really. A mirror is a mirror, and a window is a window. Because of where the sun is, or because it's darker, or something like that. But the real question, we're going to be distracted by what goes on outside. When I step out of the Amidah, I should feel like I should step out and go, oh man, where am I actually?
Want to be present.
I want to be totally present. Yes, excellent. Yeah.
It's easier to have.
Say that again.
Earlier.
Perhaps 1,000%.
easier to have.
That's right. 100% true. 100% true. And that's why the rabbis say that the most difficult tefillah is mincha, smack in the middle of the day. And that's the challenge and the opportunity. And I hold very, very strongly that women should say mincha. Very, very, very important. It's a very powerful prayer. We'll talk about it a little later on. But the fact that somebody, you should, to Felicia's point, someone should say shacharit as early as they reasonably can. And the fact that somebody breaks her day and breaks out of her day for whatever it is, 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, to say mincha and to collect and organize and do the same process we're doing now is a very big thing. Ideally, we say it before we have lunch. Ideally, that's when you say it. Yeah,
Before you have
before lunch. Ideally, we say it before lunch. Now, because the day is so long, it's not always possible to do that. It's just too early, but now you could say it like after 1:30, like that. But in the wintertime, you could say it a little earlier. Okay. Ha'el, Hagadol, Hagibor, Vahanora. The El, what does the word El mean? Come El, Kel, Elokeno, what does it mean? When we say the word Kel, yeah. Huh?
Mercy.
No, Kel means the God of accountability, right? The God of accountability, right, Andy? The God of accountability. What's the deal with the God of accountability? Why do I want the God of accountability more than the God of mercy? Why do I prefer having the God of accountability?
Accountable to your actions.
That's right. That's right. Because accountability yields growth. Lack of accountability yields stagnation. Call me out, challenge me, put me to the task, break my head. I know if you're in it with me, God, you're going to demand of me and I'm going to grow. And that's why we always want Kel or Elokim rather than Amonai. We always want that. Good. What does Gadol mean?
Rather than accountability, rather than statement.
Amonai, Yud Ke Vav Ke, or mercy. We really prefer the God of accountability. Good. Okay. Gadol means terms, just to bring it down a little bit, but people stood for Gibura or restraint, and God has restraint. So we remind ourselves that God restrains himself as well. Doesn't always call a person to task on what exactly should be the case. What does Nora mean? What is Nora? It comes from the word or. Huh? It comes from light. Yeah, beautiful. So what does Nora mean? He sees all and is the source of all knowledge. When we say the word or, we mean, when we say it, we translate it as light, but we mean to say knowledge. And God is the source of all knowledge. And knowledge is everything, right? El Elyon, the greatest of the gods, the primal of the gods, right? Gomel chasadim tovim. What does God do? He gives out good chesed. He gives out perfect chesed. Why would you say there's chesed that's imperfect? Could there be? And the answer is yes. Right. Sympathy at the wrong time when there should be accountability is not a good thing. So gomer chasadim tovim, you're a gomer chesed, you're a doer of chesed, but it's good chesed because it's the chesed that helps me. I don't want chesed when I should have din. I don't want kindness and mercy when I should have a demand on me. I want demands on me. Again, this goes back to parenting and teaching. Parenting and teaching. I had a conversation with one person a number of years ago, many years ago. I said, "Listen, you taught this student for 4 years, right? It was a high school out of town. I said, you taught this student for 4 years, yeah? Yes, very good. How is it possible that this student came into your class with a 70 average and left with a 70 average? How is that possible? How is that possible? You had 4 years of FaceTime with the student 4 or 5 times a week. You couldn't move the needle? How is that possible? That's possible when we have mercy, when we don't have din. Din means demands, accountability. The child can't, okay, doesn't have an affinity for math and sciences. No problem. Move the needle in language arts and writing and history. You couldn't move the needle there either. You didn't do your job. It's just that simple. So when we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Gomer Chasadim Tovim, right? He gives us good, but it's not runaway good. It's not runaway chesed. It's demanded. It's accountable. I want God demanding. My 70 average, so to speak, for 4 years. Well, whatever, God forbid, but that's Koneh HaKol. What does Koneh HaKol mean? Huh? But what is Koneh? Note. To buy, to acquire. So what does that mean, Koneh HaKol in present tense, Barbara? What do you think? Koneh HaKol in present tense. It means you're reacquiring. You're constantly reacquiring. You're renewing. You're rebuilding. It's a dynamic process, right? Koneh, present tense. It didn't say kana. He bought everything. He built everything. He did everything. It's koneh, present tense. He's doing it right now. That's a big deal. God's very active in everything I'm doing, all movement. Zocher chazdei avot. This is a massive sentence that we say every day. We got to know what it is. Zocher chazdei avot. What does that mean? He remembers the chesed of our fathers. Felicia, why is that important? Great. Explain that.
It's gonna come back to us.
Excellent, fabulous. If we recognize that those who preceded us did beautiful things and did meritorious things, we will benefit from it. We'll be blessed from it. And that's a very important thing.
Then he specifies the number of years.
Right. Huh?
He specifies the number of years.
What do you mean?
Shim and like
Oh, yeah.
he will compensate us for Paseh Avot for 60 years.
Right.
Why not forever?
Right. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that, but that's interesting. No. Yeah. Okay. We'll look for it. Nice. So if I recognize what my patriarchs and matriarchs did, what my parents did, I will benefit from it. And God does. And we all, this is a very big conversation about, to your point, it's a very big conversation about Hesed, Avot, and so on. We say, for example, that this community has massive Hesed Avot. You know, we have massive beracha from those who preceded us, and we do, right? 3,000-year-old community. There virtually isn't another community like this in the world. It's true. It really is true. And it's because of the sacrifice of those who preceded us. And hopefully we maintain that and we build on it with our sacrifice. Great. Maybe Goel livnei b'nehem l'ma'an shemo. He brings a Goel to the children, meaning us. What is the Goel? Beautiful, Flora. Goel is Mashiach, right? He's going to bring me the Mashiach, right? The Ma'an Shemo, in order to realize his actions, not his name. It's his name, yeah, we use that term. Why are we bringing the Mashiach? It's a phenomenal paragraph. And that's why we say a person has to go very slow through this paragraph and understand everything he or she said. Otherwise, they have to start again. Start the Amidah again. If someone blew through the paragraph or said the paragraph and wasn't paying attention to it, I don't have the foundation for the self-conversation and the conversation with God. So I got to go slow. I got to understand what I'm saying. Say, repeat it if you have to, and make sure you got it.
So you can't repeat.
Huh?
It's just the first.
If you didn't say it with kavanah, what are you going to do? You did nothing. If you didn't say it with focus and concentration, if you didn't say this, and you didn't say the modim, we'll get to it later on, with focus and concentration, you have to say the Amidah again. You didn't do anything. How do you concentrate? Excellent. That's the point. Fantastic point. That's exactly why we're pounding away at this thing. To find that quiet spot, to find that right moment, to find the non-distracting room and wall, and all that's very, very important. And take the time. Take the time. Let the Amidah be 20 minutes. And rush everything else. It's okay. But let the Amidah be 20 minutes. Beautiful. Okay. Melech Ozer. This is very important. We'll do this and then we'll pause. Melech Ozer uMoshiach uMagen. What are we saying here? What does the word Ozer mean, Felicia? To help us. God helps us. What does the word Moshiach mean? What is Yeshua? Huh? Deliverance, right. But give me a word that I could work with. What's the difference between Ezra and Yeshua? Ezra means God helps us when it's hard to say in English, so you'll excuse the thing, but we'll do the best we can here. Ezra is where there's something to bank on, right? There's something to bank on. In other words, the person has chips. They have credit. That's Ezra, right? Okay. Yeshua is when it doesn't really happen this way. I'm just trying to put it into boxes so it's somewhat easy to own. Yeshua means when the credits are expended, when you use them all. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as our king, a benevolent king, a loving king, will expend us help based on what we deserve to get, and will expend us salvation based on what we don't deserve to get. And then what he'll do is he'll give us the tools to protect the good thing he gave us. Melech, benevolent king. Ozer. I deserve this help more because I whatever, I don't deserve the help so much anymore, but you're going to help me anyway. And then what else are you going to help me gonna do, God? You're going to help me protect the good you gave me. Yeah.
So the help that we may not see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a help we may not see. Yeah, sure. Yeah, but I want to remind myself that God is going to help me when I deserve it, so to speak. He's going to help me when I don't deserve it. And when he gives me the good that he gives me, even that which may not be deserved, he is going to protect me from losing it. That's what's going to happen. And then we say, Baruch Hashem, Magen Abraham, the protector of Abraham. Why the protector of Abraham? Again, the whole package. One connected world, one God, absolute responsibility. That's who we are. So God is the protector of Abraham, and therefore builds with us all these things.
What does Moshiach mean exactly?
Moshiach means Yeshua, salvation. Salvation is unearned. I don't have any more credit in the bank to get this loan. But the bank officer says, you know what? You've been a good customer for 10 years. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, even though the credit score, so to speak, doesn't support it. Okay. So what we want to be doing is taking this brilliant composition that the rabbis designed. And why did they design this? Because they said, what would people do? Like our forefathers did, and the greatest of men and women did. They go out into the field. They'd claim a beautiful, quaint place, quiet place. They'd spend hours isolating themselves mentally and emotionally. And then they would launch into this between me and me and between me and God. That's how people did it, right? Nasuach basadeh. They went out into the field and they walked and they wandered and they walked and they prayed and they prayed a little and they cried and they asked and they think. And it took hours for them to get their minds and their focus in a place where they could reach in truly and reach out truly. The rabbi saw that life became more fast-paced, more hectic, still in ancient times, relatively speaking, but they saw that we need to give people the triggers, the words that would enable them to get into the desired mindset in minutes rather than hours. The opportunity for us is to understand the words and therefore do that. I'm going to say, where am I again?
I think Magen Abraham is also the same way, what you're saying, that the same way he protected Abraham, he protects us today.
Exactly, great.
That's
Yeah.
the reality of that sentence.
Right, great.
Combined with Zen and yourself.
Under that protection, right? I'm claiming that protection.
Oh, you possess that as well. Hashem gives that to us as well, the same way.
Excellent. Perfect. Any other thoughts, questions?
So you say not to stop and to concentrate. We're not supposed to stop from Baruch She'amar until the end of the Amidah.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to stop
Right.
from Baruch She'amar to the end of the Amidah.
We shouldn't stop and interrupt our prayer with something unrelated, correct?
It's fine.
But if we pause our prayer to get more in our own heads and cancel out more of what's around us, that's great. But that's the opportunity. And really, the Amidah is spectacular. It's just spectacular. And again, Maran Shulchan Aruch is very, very clear that a person should read it in the language that he or she understands. If you stand in front of God and you say something in a language you don't understand, what's the value? Again, the primary beneficiary of prayer is me. It's how these words impact me, build me, elevate me, strengthen me, sensitize me. It's all about that. All about that. And that's why prayer is so powerful. And I said it a bunch of times. Nobody could use prayer better than women. Because women are at the top of the totem pole. They're closest to Borei Olam. They're the most spiritual of all beings. The blockers that men have, women don't have. Their accessibility to the highest levels of God's presence are relatively easy. So check out and spend the time. And what we're going to do, God willing, in the weeks that follow, is we're going to go through the Berachot and we're going to personalize every one. Because every one of them was meant to speak in the collective and in the personal. Really, I'm going to say it the other way. In the personal and the collective, the personal first. And then you're going to walk out of an Amidah sometimes and say, oh, I got it. I know what to do. I understand what I have to do. I understand the idea. I understand how to fix this. I understand how to approach that. I understand who I can reach out to. That's the point. And that's the possibility. Great. Thank you. Baruch Adonai Olam, amen, amen.